We do have, obviously, a ton of incredibly important news here on the day before the end of the world, and I'm being sarcastic. But there's probably going to be some hysteria tonight, tomorrow, and the next day. And we've got some very frightening reports here, very concerning reports we're going to be going over from around the world, not just here in the United States. We've also got a bunch of fiscal cliff news. The globalists are driving us off the fiscal cliff. France is the model. They will just keep bankrupting things and bankrupting things until there is an 80+% federal tax rate. And the globalist, of course, will be exempt and get all that money. That's why the ultra-rich sleazebags like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, all of them are lobbying for more taxes because they're tax exempt. Don't know how else to explain that to everybody. They're all in tax-free foundations, and the general public just has no idea how things really work. It's so frustrating to watch these crooks. And that's what they are. Warren Buffett's been engaged in all sorts of criminal bailouts. It's come out in the news. He never gets in trouble. This makes the Keating Five look like good guys. So we're going to be breaking all that down today. And more on the state police in Texas defending, pulling people over and doing cavity searches now. And they say they're just going to set up checkpoints basically and start doing this. This country is just living in the twilight zone, and it's only going to get more insane from here on out. So we're going to be breaking that down. Obviously, the open assault on the Second Amendment with a new task force that will call for, well, banning of all semi-autos, banning of sale, banning of private sales, selling a gun to your neighbor or trading a gun. Just an absolute way to assault gun owners in this country. They want to put people on a no gun buy list. We're going to be breaking all of that down as well. Just extrajudicial activities where they just throw you on a list. We're going to be going over all of these different facets from different angles today. And when we come back in the next segment, I'm going to give the phones out, the phone number out. It's important to take calls, and I don't take as many as I'd like, and I always kind of repeat myself that I have a wish to take more calls. And a cocktail of things always happens, where you get people calling in with such interesting topics that we digress for 20 minutes, or I don't get to your calls for an hour, or when I do get to your calls, it's just all over the map, which is sometimes interesting, sometimes not. I mean, obviously, I'd like to talk about the state of our world and what you see coming up in 2013. Do you see it as a critical year, the most critical in our history, or do you just think that everything's going to be fine or somewhere in between? I'll give the number out coming up in the next segment, and we'll discuss some of that. Obviously, we also are going to have a very informative guest on today to give us kind of a foreshadowing and an idea of what the NRA is going to do tomorrow in a press conference they're going to have. And that's Bob Barr, the former congressman, and also activist with Liberty Guard, resisting the tyranny of the TSA. He is an NRA board member, and he will be joining us coming up for about 30 minutes in the third hour today to talk about Sandy Hook and to talk about the Newtown massacre and all the rest of it. There is also a video that's not even on INFOWARS.com yet. I'm going to get it posted up there. Obama runs gun hoax. Actually, I think we should change that headline to Obama caught in gun hoax. In fact, guys, you give that to the webmasters in there and have them post Obama caught in gun hoax. When I shot this special report last night before I left, I think I wanted to go with the headline Obama caught in gun hoax, or Obama caught in massive gun fraud. Obama caught in massive Second Amendment fraud. I don't know. We'll figure out a headline. It's very important. I want to play that here as well because we actually go over all the statistics and your phone calls. So it's all coming up today.
As we saw in Katrina, and as we are watching now in New York and New Jersey, the federal government can't and won't help you in a crisis. FEMA ran out of water and MREs in days. Electricity is still off to over 1 million people. The Red Cross, who is quick to beg for money, is now slow to react. Don't put it off any longer. Get prepared today. While you're on InfoWarsShop.com, check out these other great preparedness items. The Aquapod kit lets you store up to 65 gallons of water in your bathtub. pocket socket provides you with manual electricity for small electronics like your cell phone. The Life Straw is great for your bug-out bag. And check out our complete line of Interfood products for great tasting and nutritionally dense foods that have a great shelf life. If you are looking to secure your home in a crisis, you can order Strategic Relocations, the film, a great companion to the book Strategic Relocations 3rd edition, and The Secure Home by Joel Skousen. When the time to perform arrives, the time to prepare has already passed. Get prepared now, so if a crisis strikes your home, you and your family will be secure. Go to InfoWarsShop.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you go up to InfoWars.com, you will see the headline there, special report, Obama caught in gun hoax. Obama caught in gun hoax. Senator proposes military occupation of schools in wake of Sandy Hook shooting. Mass shooting victim stands up to anti-gunners. Powerful video right there. Piers Morgan's sarcasm about school massacre stokes anger. He actually said on his Twitter that he's glad about the shooting because now he can get our guns. A very, very sick, filthy person. The lowest of the low scum, caught lying basically with tabloids about people and running all sorts of just absolutely wicked operations, reportedly with hacking. That's why he really won't go back to England, because the word is they're going to slap handcuffs on him. And that's what they do. They import lowest of the low to this country to come here and tell us to turn our guns in. It's amazing. Continuing, Obama orders children murdered. That's a special report we did on the drones where he signs death orders knowing it will kill children. A very powerful video that I would imagine they're going to try to censor, so see it while you can. Media calls for Obama to act like a dictator and ban guns. That's another video report on our text report from yesterday. And, of course, Reuters calling for that. And that is just some of what we're going to be breaking down on the Second Amendment front today. Guns out of stock at Walmart as magazine prices surge. They are selling out everywhere. In fact, I actually talked to some folks that work at Dick's Sporting Goods in the gun department, and they said, look, they were already sold out of Bushmasters and couldn't get them. And I happen to know that most gun shops were sold out of most semi-automatics, especially the military style. It just means they're black. They're not wooden. It's pretty much the same thing as the hunting rifles. These idiots don't know that. And that they were already sold out in Dick's all over the country. Bushmaster is 6 months to 9 months, depending on the type, a year behind. A year. Well, we've talked about this before. Ruger is almost a year out. Most manufacturers are 6 months to a year out. So it's a total hoax. As usual, everything's a hoax with these people. That, oh, they're not going to sell the guns now. They can't get the guns now. I wanted a .50 caliber. I already have one. I got about a decade ago or more. But I wanted a Barrett. And I had to look around for 3 months and pay a premium and ship it into a gun shop here in Austin. Actually, a police supply facility that sells to the general population as well, from North Carolina. 3 months to get one, and that was months ago. And I'm going to roll that sucker out on the TV show as soon as we relaunch it. But the Brothers in Arms gun show, first thing we're going to do is go up in helicopters and take care of some wild hogs. But side issue, we're going to have another drone episode come out as well. I've just been so busy, I don't have time to even stop and smell the roses ever, because there's so much globalist crime going on. So that's some of the gun news. Also, guns Obama administration handed to Mexican drug lords continue to turn up at crime scenes in Mexico and the U.S., including another dead child. So that's up at prisonplanet.com and InfoWars.com. Hillary is continuing to be sick now for 4 or 5 days. She can't testify about Benghazi. They're caught red-handed. They ordered a White House stand down for 8 hours. They had a huge CIA torture base full of special forces down the street. That's another big scandal. Of course, Obama has increased the torturing. See, if Obama says one thing, he's going to do the other. Unless he promises to take your guns and destroy freedom and bankrupt the country. Then, of course, he keeps those promises. So we're going to be looking at some of that today as well. And, well, they've now, because of the lawsuit and the public backlash, they've suspended with pay the Texas female trooper who was called to the scene by male troopers to, on video, and we showed this yesterday, it's now a big story around the country after Drudge Report linked to it yesterday, actually, with force, shoving her hand into the woman's rear end and then into, in the pants with force. You could see it into her female sexual organ. And then she goes over to her sister, both attractive women. It's funny, it always seems to be attractive women. I don't know what it is about defiling them. Just seems to bring in the sharks with TSA and others. And then they went after the other one with the same glove. And it's in the court filing with the doctor's report. One woman got a serious infection. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. If you're a man out there, maybe public school, brought up on Ritalin and Prozac, never had a girlfriend, never been married, infections with women is a big deal. And, the first thing girls are taught is don't touch the back and then the front. And I hate to have to get off into all this, but this is a woman doing this to her. So there's the beautiful blonde with the female trooper grabbing her breast and then going into her rectum. And then turning her around. Let me just repeatedly go checking in there. And now she goes in the front and she really goes after her sister. And this is all supposedly looking for marijuana, which is the only drug the government doesn't ship in mass, though they've been caught doing that. They ship in the heroin, the cocaine. A lot of the pre-ingredients are sold to the methamphetamine labs that are authorized, not the small bathtub ones they target. They're trying to put half the school kids on deadly psychotropics and speed drugs like Ritalin. The troops have been ordered for 11 years to publicly grow the opium. It went from 9% of the world's supply to 93% out of Afghanistan. Giant C-130s flying in daily. Schmack epidemic all over Europe, all over Asia. Publicly, the U.S. military is forced to grow it, give them the fertilizer, security, ship it in. So the troopers can pull you over saying they saw you flick a cigarette out the window. They think it might be marijuana. And then they just order you. And you know what? If you don't follow the order, they're going to taser you. You resist that, they're going to gun you down. And you have to understand something. At first, the state police said this is good. This is their policy. The director of DPS, when this video got reviewed, first by the local head, captain, that's why the suit's now happening. And when the public was outraged, they went, oh, okay, we'll suspend her with pay. We'll look at it now. So I want to explain something to you. When these lunatics pull you over, now, they're not just going to take your blood without warrants or rubber stamps. They're not just going to take your kids to CPS for no reason. They're now going to jam their hands into your body. Just like I've watched TSA search 20 people in a row with the same glove, and I mean going in the pants. Imagine any country in history where they stick their hands down your pants and the TSA backed off a little bit and stopped really squeezing all the time when there were lawsuits and things. But now the police are doing it. So I'm going to get back into that today as well. I want to get into the latest 2012 news, and there is a lot of it. We'll be tracking it throughout the day and then tomorrow. In some time zones, I guess midnight tonight, my time, and in some time zones, I guess in Asia, the end of the world will begin. No one knows the exact hour of when it's going to be, begin. NASA is, and I'm being sarcastic, and to be clear, I don't believe it's the end of the world, never have said that. NASA's getting flooded with calls, emails, people showing up saying, why won't you tell us where Nibiru Planet X is that's going to kill us? Well, let me explain something to the people panicking in Japan and China and France and the United States and Mexico and everywhere else. People are people, pretty darn stupid some of the time. Let me explain something to you. There is no Mayan prophecy. It doesn't say this. A. B, if you had a big gas giant like they claim Nibiru is, if it was going to hit us in the next 24 hours, it would be gigantic. Okay? Amateur astronomers with the hundreds of thousands of telescopes, I've got one, cost me like $5,000, that I bought back in college. When I had time, I'd go out in the hills at night where it was clear, out in the desert outside Austin, like Llano, and I could see, the pink and purple of Saturn. I could find asteroids when it was clear night, well-known asteroids, nebulas. I took some great photos of those. the point is that, I got to find where those are. I got a bunch of incredible photos I took with my dad, hooking a camera up to the telescope, 10-inch Meade reflector. And even back then, you could computerize programming. It would track everything. Just amazing. Most of the Kuiper Belt objects that have been found out past Pluto, now hundreds of them, were found by amateur astronomers because they're the ones that are able to have more eyes on the data, not the big giant ones. Not the big McDonnell Douglas, you know, out in West Texas. There is now doomsday panic going on, okay? And I pray that there's not violence. I pray that there's not attacks. I pray that there's not mass suicides or mass shootings. There's a lot of end-of-world stuff going on right now. I hope there's not hell-bop type stuff. And I'll add this. I tuned in to talk radio this morning. And when I got brought up on one of the shows, guess what they said? Well, isn't the world ending tomorrow? Oh, yeah, that's what he thinks. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess he's ready for the end of the world. And I know when it's not the end of the world tomorrow, they will say in the media that I said it'd be the end of the world, when I've been saying for 10 years or more it's total fraud. And they'll edit me together and say that I said it's the end of the world. So you, the listeners, know the truth. And I'm not trying to defend myself from lies. It's just that people use lies or distortions about what we do here to try to scare people away from the information. And most of the attacks we go through are fraudulent. And it's just so immoral that people consciously and knowingly manufacture things about this broadcast that are not true. It's just not fair. But the world isn't fair. So you have to understand why the system uses deception on you. It's gotten almost no attention. You know, a few weeks ago, Rand Paul declared victory. I think he was fooled and said, hey, we've got an amendment to the NDAA saying you can't secretly arrest Americans and disappear them. But actually, that amendment said you can't do it in this act unless already in another act. So it was a little lawyer trick. But they've dropped the Feinstein Amendment completely and are expanding it to not only secretly arrest citizens, but openly get rid of what's left of posse comitatus and designate the U.S. Army to take out veterans, gun owners, constitutionalists who are listed as the main terror threat, not al-Qaeda, openly run by the federal occupational government. Again, they brag everywhere that they run America, they've captured us. If you're a new listener, you can just go to INFOWARS.com and just type into the search engine there. On the site, bankers declare they've conquered the U.S. and Europe, and then you can see dozens of links and video clips where world leaders announce we are their slaves. They're very proud of it. So INFOWARS.com/search, and you can find all that. Bankers declare U.S. and Europe conquered, and you can find that right there for you. I think it's kind of a big deal, and they have conquered us. They now pull over our people and ram their hands into our bodies with no judge, no jury, no drug dog, no nothing. They use the same glove on 4 different orifices. Again, I mean, they're now saying this is standard. We're going to do this to everybody. They're defending it. And they will start disappearing people. They've got pickup lists they've already set up. They're already trying the police for that, just to arrest you under a national security filing in the database where it's not an arrest warrant, it's a pickup order, and you just disappear. And then there's CIA bases in the U.S. and all over the world where, what was in the news again this week, where they sodomize you. First thing they do, because they like it. I mean, they do it themselves. They enjoy it. So, but that's what the good guys do, according to them, including children. I know it's completely evil. And you're like, man, this is really crazy what he's saying. Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it? And it's all happening, and it's all going to get worse. Because we say 50+ million babies since 1973 weren't humans. And if you can rationalize that killing babies in the womb up to 9 months when they could be adopted on the spot is not a human, But 1 minute after they're out of the womb, you'll be charged with murder 1 if you kill that baby. You know, if people can rationalize that, well, then the sky's the limit. And I'm already ranting here. In doomsday news, and believe me, it's pouring out, local school district cancels classes due to doomsday talk, potential threats. By the way, I saw all sorts of head-on collisions driving into work today. People being blown out of their lanes on 4-lane roads, 2 lanes one way, 2 lanes the other. If I was people in Central Texas, I'd stay off the road right now. That's the real threat. There's some deaths happening out there. I can tell you that right now. I mean, I've never had my vehicle blown around like it was today, except when I went through a tornado once. Side issue. Maybe that's Planet X coming in to kill us. I'm joking. Continuing here, fearful end of the world, callers flood NASA. That's out of the Los Angeles Times. If there's one government agency really looking forward to December 22nd, it's NASA. The space agency said it's been flooded with calls, emails from people asking about the purported end of the world, which, as the doomsday myth goes, is apparently set to take place December 21st, 2012. And people are freaking out. If the Mayan prophecy is true, just how might it all end on Friday? Scientists foretell the cataclysms that could bring on doomsday. And I'm thinking about doing a live Skype tonight from the undisclosed location, or not Skype, Justin TV or one of those channels that we have channels on, to give a speech maybe at 11 o'clock tonight, 12 o'clock Eastern, where in many parts of the world, for many hours, the end of the world will be well into transpiring. And I can, I guess, also go out in the parking lot of the Christmas party and aim my camera up in the sky and try to find the big red planet coming to kill us. And, of course, or they say the sun's going to blow up, or they say that there's going to be a pole shift, or a bunch of other garbage like comets hitting us and the rest of it. And then, meanwhile, all the real crises are just being ignored. And I guarantee you they're going to say, Gregorian calendar, 3 days difference. The 21st is really the 24th. We'll be dead in 3 days. Look for that. I just know how this stuff works, because I remember back in 2000, 2001, 2003, it was always another year, Planet X, we're all dead. And meanwhile, rogue planets do come through the inner solar system. Kuiper Belt objects. There are comets. There are real threats. I'm not saying that couldn't happen someday. There's evidence it's happened many times before. The problem is it isn't happening tomorrow. It's not just the INFOWARS.com radio show, films, TV show, special reports saying Obama will use executive orders and ATF rules to physically ban your semi-autos. First, they're going to try to ban the manufacture and sale. Then they're going to say you have to physically turn them in. They're now all announcing this. And in a way, it's good now that they're just out in the open with it, because as they made all the preparations, as they trained the police and military for gun confiscation the last few years in the Army manuals, I mean, it's a fact. That, guys, you guys typed in Army manual covers gun confiscation. It's an INFOWARS.com article, but it links to the Army manual. It's a different one than the relocation, mass arrest, re-education camp one. So since I mentioned that, I want to give people the gun confiscation Army manual that came out, 2 years ago. And so the military is training for this, and it's had the side effect, that's a good side effect, of actually waking the military up. They're like, wow, we're being trained to lock down U.S. cities and go door to door taking guns. And again, you're like, this will never happen. Ladies and gentlemen, if I told you 5 years ago that the state police would pull over people for taillights out or for flicking a cigarette or for no insurance or whatever, because now they have license plate readers that can tell if you're out of insurance, and then just say, okay, get out. You got drugs on you? Nope. Okay, spread your legs. Boom, I'm going in. And as if that isn't bad enough, two sisters, 4 different orifices, same glove, on squad car video, in front of the camera. And the state police said, that's our policy. We'll do this whenever we want. A policy. Is it your policy that you're going to take my bank account? Yeah, they're doing that in France. They're doing that here without warrants. Is it your policy to put fluoride in the water that brain damages us? Yeah. See, folks, we're already so deep into this. But parallel to all this tyranny, there's still all this liberty. You see, now they want to fully absorb it. It's FM 3-39.40. Yep, and it's got the gun confiscation in it there for you. Might want to go read that, how they're going to process you with your Social Security numbers, how they're going to take your guns, how they're going to cordon your town. And then the Army War College, Stewart Rhodes and Oath Keepers have put billboards up at the bases. They say, yeah, our new enemy will be the Tea Party, and we're going to have to battle them. And they call the officers in and teach them that, hey, 15 years ago, I talked to ROTC students, and since then it's been mainstream news. Every ROTC group I've talked to at colleges in Austin, San Antonio, where the first place is 15 years ago, just on the air in Austin, Central Texas. Now it's all over the country, and then we got video of it. Do you know who the ROTC, when they go out on maneuvers to military bases, do you know who they train to fight? When my uncle was in ROTC getting ready to go take helicopter training and going to college, they were training to fight communists overseas. Do you know who, at least since the 90s, the military trains to fight? They train to fight U.S. gun owners, militias. And you can find that in the New York Times. Just type in, scouts trained to fight terrorists and more. And it's got dozens of color photos, and the first paragraph says, training to take on a disgruntled vet. This is the type of stuff that we're talking about here as a society. So this is not rumors. I just gave you Army Manual. I just gave you the name of the New York Times. If you know people in the ROTC, go ask them. They drill to take you and your family and break you up and load you on trucks and trains and take you to torture centers. Our government runs torture centers all over the world. That's on record. Guys, pull up the Guardian or AP. Innocent citizens arrested and raped. You're like, man, why is always rape? Because if you're a globalist, you get into CIA black site, ghost site operations because you like to rape people. You like to pull their teeth out with pliers. They run Al-Qaeda on record. This is not our government. And only admitting the truth is going to save us. It's compartmentalization, where they've now got it where federal and state courts have ruled if you don't answer a cop's question, they taser you as part of pain compliance. And the courts say, oh, that's okay. Oh, in one case in New York State a few years ago, it was the man would not give a urine sample while strapped to a gurney. So they tasered him 11 times. There was another case where the guy had a heart attack and died, and the court said, that's okay. They kill you with electricity if you don't urinate in a cup when they order you to. Folks, that is a North Korean death dungeon. Oh, but it's to stop drugs. The war on drugs the government publicly ships in. That's the illegal ones. Then they're always trying to, get everybody on their psychotropics and stuff that's even worse. So I said I'd go to your calls. I just want everybody to get here. I'm not putting a bad face on the government. The government's gone. And the only thing holding it back is that some of the bureaucrats in the government aren't pure evil, and so they don't fully enforce what they've been told to enforce. They want you broken. Where now all over the country, they do cavity searches. I see this in Florida, Arizona, Tennessee. I see these articles all the time. And the videos. Yeah, court rules that CIA tortured and sodomized innocent person. But, I mean, if it was a bad guy, why do you sodomize him? You like it. You see, where can you go chain people down, and it's still illegal, but they get away with it, under national security and rape them? Well, the CIA or one of these private defense contractor groups. And I just can't believe how much trouble we're in. And now they're like, well, yeah, we're going to pull you over and get your daughters out. And we don't change gloves on you animals. I mean, it's bad enough, and it's rape to do this to these women. But now we're seen as animals. Where the TSA sticks their hands down people's pants all day. And I've sat there after I've gone through the security checkpoint, you know, for the underwear bomber the government put on the plane. And I've sat there and watched them, and they just get people all day and just go right in their pants. Same glove. It's just such a sick joke. Totally sick, because you're an animal. And they don't change those gloves on purpose. Get over here, you animal. We own you. All right, that's enough. We don't need to show the video again. It's up at INFOWARS.com. I said I'd go to your phone calls. All I know is driving in this morning and get to hear talk radio say, oh, Alex Jones, yeah, I guess he's getting ready for the end of the world. See, people know to say that right before the day, knowing that most people don't routinely listen to the show, and they're going to think, oh, well, he's discredited. The end of the world didn't happen. And that'll be said all over the country and all over the world. Alex is wrong. The world didn't end. And they don't care. And they'll edit it together all over the place where I say it's the end of the world. See, because in this system, being a winner, according to the establishment, is deceiving people. Playing you like you're dumb. And only when you're unconscious, only when you don't question, only when you're simple-minded, on purpose, only when you're willfully ignorant can they get away with this on you. Just like Connecticut having the 4th strongest gun laws. He tried to buy guns not once, not twice, not 3 times. We now learn 5 times the month before he supposedly did it, even if you believe the official fable, narrative, Easter Bunny story. And they went to a victim disarmament zone where the media advertises, hey, let us give mentally ill people on psychotropic drugs an idea. Go to schools and kill everybody. Go to malls and kill everybody. And then they get up there and grandstand. You know, remember Bill Maher just a month ago said more death's good, more car accidents, more shooting, more death. It's what I want. Now he's so sad for the children and says ban the guns. No. He is a knowing establishment member who knows he's an authoritarian, posing as a supposed liberal when he is a dripping anti-human exterminist on record. And I've talked to multiple Hollywood people that have had dinner with this guy. And let me tell you, he is a nasty little bugger. Nasty, 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 unhappy, materialistic, worldly piece of garbage. And again, liking material is not bad. It's just that it can't be the top of your hierarchy of needs. I mean, we're in a pickle, I have to tell you. Okay, I said I'd go to your calls. We're going to go to those and get into all this other news and some special reports. And Bob Barr, NRA board member, will be giving us kind of a first breakdown. He won't be officially speaking for the NRA. Their official press conference will be tomorrow, but he's a senior member of the board. And I hope to God they come out and defend the Second Amendment, because the presidential task force, and see, when the president comes to you, most people like, well, the president's invited me to, you know, they're inviting the NRA to come and decide what to do, to be co-opted. So when the president announces executive orders, they say, well, we had 10 governors on the governor council appointed because they're good little minions, and we had some people from the Congress on the president's council. Joe Biden goes out and creates a council, invites everyone, here's what everyone has to say, then they certify some garbage. They've already told us what it is. Let me tell you what it is a month out before it comes out. They won't waste time, though. I would guess that by the 15th or so of next month, even though Congress comes in on the 3rd of January, by the 15th or so, you'll have the proposal. They're not going to waste time on this. It's going to be banned. Well, they've already told us what it is. But they're going to have a commission, though, but they're already telling us what the commission's going to say. They did this on the 9/11 commission. Shut down gun shows, shut down private sales, even a father giving his son a gun, or grandfather giving his son a gun, or vice versa, vis-a-vis. I've given my dad a few guns. He's given me a few. You know, he gave me his first lever-action .243 Savage. But that itself has probably killed 200 deer. The point is that killed my first deer with it. The point is that, what was I getting at there? There's just so much going on. Oh, yeah. They're going to shut down the gun shows. They're going to create federal task forces and redouble the money for ATF. They've already built the biggest federal building in D.C. is a new ATF building. They're going to use rules to ban importation and a bunch of other things. They're going to go after the ammo with taxes on ammo and tracking ammo. And they're going to encourage lawsuits against gun manufacturers. And they're going to ban the sale, period, of all semi-autos, including hunting rifles. Because all these so-called assault rifles are just black hunting rifles. So that they, wood gets tarnished and breaks and things in combat. That's what they say. I personally like the Russian-style, quote, assault rifles. They are wood. That's not really my experience, but it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and go to your phone calls. Just get ready for it all. We told you it was coming. Oh, you're conspiracy theorists. No one wants your guns. No one. That's crazy. Really, all these groups have always sworn to get our guns. We have all their quotes in the new magazine. Let's go to your calls. Let's talk to Chuck in New Jersey. Police searches. What, are you un-American? You don't want warrantless having people put their hands in your wife? Go ahead.
No, Alex, actually don't. Got to tell you, I'm a first-time caller, and I've been listening to you for a few years. I've had some disagreements about some of the stuff that you talk about, particulars on the JFK case, which I studied intensely. But about this situation with the police and the way that this has evolved, over the years, I mean, I would say in the 90s, when I would be walking down the street in my own neighborhood, I would often be stopped as a young man and have my pockets emptied and ID demanded of me and things like this randomly. Now, this kind of thing has evolved now to serious searches, actually seizing people and things like this.
Oh, no. They've had it's something like 500,000 searches a year now in New York City, where they just street searches, where they're now pulling pants off women. They're now, I mean, this is the new deal where you line up, I'm shoving my hand up you, and this is the new freedom. In fact, the new handshake in America will probably become just bending over. I mean, I'm not kidding. Go ahead.
No, I got you, because I lived in New York City for a while as well. I lived on the Lower East Side, and that stuff, again... Government
wants to put its hands on you because it wants to put shots in you. It's all about medical tyranny. Go ahead.
But it's about control, and it's about conditioning, I think, because generally this causes...
Can you imagine in a historical style, movie like Roots, if the slave masters were shoving their hands into the women and then going over to another woman? I mean, you'd be like those horrible slave owners, and you would be. It'd be over the top that slave owners would do things like that. But when the police do it, it's like, I mean, I heard local talk radio going, maybe this is right. Maybe these women deserve it. Just pull you over, pull your wife over. All right, I'm going to stand you out on the side of the highway, and I'm going to rape you with my hand right now. I mean, this is Twilight Zone level. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't try to talk over you, but the fact is, this is what I don't understand is why that so many are taking this kind of like this is normal, as if this was expected. This is not right, and it has evolved, I'm telling you, over time.
I know.
To where, and this didn't just start recently. It's
sure, they put cancer viruses in the vaccines on record. They give children polio with the polio vaccine on record. They are a group of absolute psycho killers. I appreciate your comments. Thank you. Good to have you on board with us here. Folks, that's what you don't get out there. We have absolutely diabolical, evil government at the top. And you've got all these idiots below that'll do horrible things because they really think they're protecting us. And it's going to get more and more nightmarish until we wake up to the facts. Mark, on the Sandy Hook convenient shooting for Mr. Crocodile Tears Obama. Go ahead, Mark.
Hello, Alex. Well, Alex, you'd mentioned yesterday that you should really send some detectives up there to dig out what, get the facts substantiated. But I just wanted to mention a couple to you. I know you've got a whole house full of detectives there, basically, so I think you're in a good position to do a great investigation.
We're going to hire even more reporters and people soon because we're getting the Capitol in, but we are busy. We are slaving. I have a great crew just to get the nightly news out and everything every day. So, I mean, we probably should send somebody up to Sandy Hook. I just noticed this is happening during the holidays. In fact, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is probably a priority one type of investigation, considering what's going to come out of this shooting. But Dr. Bill Deagle reported yesterday that the supposed Sandy Hook shooter, Adam Lanza, was found only with 2 handguns, not a Bushmaster assault rifle.
Well, no, that's what they first said. They arrested a bunch of different people, and those stories don't check out. And then now there's a lot of other suspicious stuff going on. And I said on record, the Dark Knight was programming. Now we've learned they mailed out Dark Knight T-shirts to random people in New York and Connecticut. There's an article up at INFOWARS.com. Confirms section of Gotham renamed Sandy Hook in latest Dark Knight release. And then they sent out maps as part of a promotion to media and others saying target Sandy Hook. Bane, they sent out Bane command orders to Bane's army to attack Sandy Hook. And by the way, Adon Salazar stayed up all yesterday, all last night. He has bloodshot eyes to do the research on this. And the Gothamist newspaper in New York's picked it up. People are freaking out over this. People were mailed orders from Bane, kids and people, teenagers, saying attack Sandy Hook. What do you think of that?
Absolutely, Alex. It's all right out there in the open, and if enough publicity and enough of it can be given out to the public, maybe it can turn things for a while.
This thing has PSYOP written all over it. I said Batman is the trigger for mass shootings on record dozens of times. Visit InfoWars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.